Hello, you're watching PokerNews.com and welcome back to our coverage here of the PokerStars Championship presented by the Monte-Carlo Casino. I'm now joined by a very interesting lady, author and psychologist, Maria Konnikova. First of all, let's talk a bit more about your background.
So I am a psychologist in that I have a PhD in psychology, but I was never in academia. I just got the PhD because I'm fascinated by the human brain. But really, I've always been a writer. I've written 2 books, working on my 3rd right now, and I write for The New Yorker.
So let's talk about your books, The Confidence Game and How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes.
So The Confidence Game is my latest book. It's about the world of con artists, the people who deceive us and why we believe them, why we fall for their tricks, what it is about the human mind that makes us so susceptible to, imposters or people who run Ponzi schemes or what have you.
And had you come into contact with many con artists yourself?
Prior to this book, no. Now,
Did
yes.
you meet them?
Yes. So I spent over 3 years in the world of con artists.
Well, how did they even think, I want to do this? I would have thought they wouldn't want to spend time with you.
You know what? That's what I thought originally, but they're all so narcissistic.
Okay.
They are so proud of what they do, and they want the world to know how good they are. Some of them talk to me only anonymously, the ones who are still operating, so I wasn't allowed to use their names, I wasn't allowed to use any identifying details, but some of them who've been outed in the past, they were so eager to talk to me. I mean, some of them are just practically gleeful. They're like, haha, look at what I did, and you believed me.
Wow. I guess it's a little bit like the psychopath as well, they're very ego-fueled, aren't they?
Absolutely. They're proud of what they do. I think they have no remorse about it. I have yet to meet a single con artist who feels guilty.
And now talk us through why we're here at the poker tournaments, because you're immersing yourself now in the world of poker, from con artists to poker players.
It's not the connection you think. So I was interested in the question of skill versus chance in life and how much of our lives we control. And that's a huge question, how much of my life am I in control of? You can approach it from a theological angle, philosophical, psychological. And so I've decided to use No Limit Hold'em specifically because life is obviously a game of no limit, as a metaphor for life, and immerse myself in that world, learn to play poker with the best players in the world. So I'm being coached by Erik Seidel for a while, and see if I can work from zero to the highest levels and use that journey as a way of exploring that question of skill versus chance to then ultimately go back to life and say, okay, how do we use the poker table to make better decisions in our everyday lives?
And what have your foundings been so far in this conquest?
I suck at poker.
No, apparently you don't, because you've done pretty well here.
I actually have done pretty well here, but no, I've learned, first of all, that poker is an even better metaphor for life than I've thought. I mean, you're sitting at the table, you're reading people, you're dealing with all sorts of situations. You have to deal with things that we have to deal with in our day-to-day lives, like controlling our emotions, being bullied, because I'm a woman, and that's rare in the poker world, and playing well female is different than playing well male, and unfortunately we still live in a very male-dominated world, so that's not something I encounter just at the poker table. So then you learn to deal with it at the poker table, and then hopefully come to your negotiations in life with a renewed sense of purpose and power. And I think the most important thing I've learned is just the power, and this is interesting because it goes back to my first book, of paying attention, of actually just being present, following the action, and truly being at the table. You would be surprised at how many people are looking at their phones, talking to other people, getting up from the table when they're not in a hand. They are missing all sorts of information, which is absolutely crucial, I think, to doing well. And then look at life. I mean, you see that all the time. How many times have you seen a situation, in a restaurant where there are people on a date and they're both on their phones rather than looking at each other? I think we encounter it all the time. Learning to overcome it, learning to focus and really pay attention is the single most important thing that I think can make you good at poker and at life.
And so Erik Seidel has been the main poker player that you've been hanging out with. Have you met any other interesting players here?
Oh, absolutely. Well, so some of them are the ones that I've met before. So because I travel to the high rollers with Erik, even though I don't play them, I'm not quite at the 100,000 buy-in level.
You're just studying them really well.
Yes. So, the guys who play at that level are really wonderful. And some of them are here right now, like Fedor Holmes is here, and he's, absolutely lovely Dan Smith, who is actually in the main event still. Yeah, he's doing really well, and he's one of the nicest guys in the world. Jason Kuhn isn't here today, but he's been incredibly helpful to me. Another one who's not here, but who's been really helpful in my journey is Phil Gelfand.
His way of explaining things for me is one of the best.
He's worked with me. So a lot of people are really kind of open to the project and are interested in it because I'm a total poker outsider, right? I came to this as someone who'd never had any experience with the game, and it's sort of a test of psychology versus the more mathematical approach. Does my background give me any sort of an edge? Can I actually use psychology to become competitive? Because I'm obviously not going to be able to compete with the math whizzes who can make all of those calculations for their game theory optimal play in seconds. I can't do that.
And you're immersing yourself in this world for 1 year, so it's just starting from now, right?
Yes, that is exactly right. So with PokerStars, we're going to be journeying from Monte-Carlo to Monte-Carlo. So seeing kind of what the improvement in the trajectory is over the next year. I'll be also playing things like the World Series, obviously, kind of the big ones. And to see whether I can actually make it so that by the time I'm here next year, I actually can play some of the high rollers and be competitive in them. Can my thinking improve to that level? And just as a side note, when I started this project, I didn't know how many cards were in a deck. So we're really starting from zero.
52.
Here. I thought it was 54. I didn't realize the jokers didn't count. I still keep looking for them every time I play.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. So interesting. And I really hope I'm here in 12 months so I can have another interview with you and find out how this year has been.
I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Maria Konnikova. I'm Laura Cornelius. You're watching PokerNews.com.